We expect the project to be wrapping up in 2027 spring, early 2027. And then, of course, we'll need a little bit of time to get things ready and available for the public. So roughly a year plus some extra time that we can get ready to start welcoming people in the new space.
I'm Becky Kiser, Hays Post Eagle Radio News, and I'm talking about the latest happenings at the Hays Arts Council with Executive Director Chandler Reich and Board President Brittney Squier. It's all on this episode of the Hays Post Podcast.
It's one of our longest standing exhibitions we've had with the Hays Arts Council, and it's also one of our most beloved programs, I think, in addition to school programming, I think is another important one. But we're very excited to share that we have come very close now to the deadline for submissions. And so that is open to all Kansas artists working in any medium, so 2D or 3D. We even accept sculpture and photography. So if you are an art maker or you know someone who's making artwork and you think that they would be a great addition to this exhibition, please have them get their photos uploaded to our online submission system by tomorrow at 4 p.m. And they can find all the information about Smoky, our juror, and the cash awards, which I know is usually what gets people's attention, on our website, and for more information about that.
And we should mention, while we've got a minute, that of course the exhibition and competition is sponsored, and you're always looking for more sponsors to help out.
Oh, yes. We usually have 4 sponsors for an art walk opening like the Smoky. We currently have 2 sponsors, Emprise Bank and Jeter Law. And so we're really actually excited to have those 2 longtime sponsors helping with this opening and event and Smoky and everything that comes with it. But we're always looking for more sponsors, and it's a great way for local businesses to get recognition physically in the space for our exhibitions, but also online and on Facebook. So we do share and thank our sponsors constantly during these exhibitions, because we wouldn't be able to have them and have the food and have all the people come through without those sponsors.
And a lot of people come through. It's
oh,
a big event.
yes. The Spring Art Walk is one of our busiest days of the year, other than the Fall Art Walk. And we are expecting a lot of people on Saturday, April 25th from 10 to 4. So that'll be the first day that the Smoky Hill Art Exhibition will be open to the public for the summer. And that'll come down in June, right before the Summer Art Walk.
Who will be the juror for the spring exhibition in Smoky Hill?
So this year's Hillary Cole, and she is a curator consultant with the Leopold Gallery from Kansas City. And she actually has her BFA in sculpture, and then among other degrees that make her more than qualified to curate such an exhibit like this. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Hillary makes her choices and selections.
I always find that very interesting, because that has got to be a tough job. I mean, it is somewhat nebulous what you decide is good and what you're looking for, and each curator would be different.
Oh, most definitely, yeah. No Smoky is like the next. It definitely, you can tell that the style and selections of the juror are unique to that juror, especially when you get into the curation and awards and that kind of stuff. But it's really awesome to see also the numbers of entries, even just we've had so far. Like the number goes from like 100 to 150 to 175, and then we get closer to 200 entries. And so, yeah, that juror has to select all the way down to 50 to 75 pieces, depending on the size of those pieces. It can range depending on, of course, how much space we have. But yeah, it's a tough job. So we are very grateful for our jurors. We wouldn't be able to have exhibitions like this without them. So
they always do a great job.
Yeah.
We look forward to it every year. Also, we wanted to talk about something that is open now and for about a month yet, the Fields and Forms dual exhibit. And you were telling me, Chandler, that it's really kind of different.
Yeah, this was a nice change up, I think, for our space. We obviously transitioned into temporary spaces, which we'll talk more about later. But this is our first exhibit with kind of 2 polar opposites that I've curated in my experience so far. And it turned out really great. So Amy Warfield is a natural watercolorist, and she does these very detailed, like medium-sized watercolor paintings and oil paintings of landscapes from around this area. And so she's very inspired by the scenes around her and does a lot of plein air painting, which is painting in the environment that you're trying to replicate. And so her drawings are very like luminous and glowing and like Kansas, but in the best lighting possible. Her work is pretty amazing. And then we paired that with Brittney Gorlick, who is actually the printmaking professor at Fort Hays State University. And their work is more abstracted, as some would say, but really her work is very trying to conceptualize mental health and queer like topics from her work. But when you look down at the technicality of her prints, it's amazing. The layers, the time that goes into it. One unique piece that has like ink generally like in the middle might have like a dozen layers that you can't see.
Oh, wow.
And it's very like layered on top of each other, and the colors and patterns change. And she likes to use like the basis of her work is like down to like the scribble and the mark making. And then she's taken that and reproduced and relayered and reconstructed into these amazing prints. And so there's a bit of like installation and mixed media going on with her work, and sometimes even like installation. And so the pieces next to each other, they speak, but in a different way than you would expect. So a lot of them speak via color. And so that's kind of how I hung the exhibition. And so you can kind of flow through the space with color. And that's how you see the connection between the two works, even though they're quite opposite.
What a juxtaposition it sounds like.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the color. It made me think about we've seen so many beautiful sunrises and sunsets recently in Kansas. I think we always know that we have great sunrises and sunsets, but for whatever reason, the weather's been really good recently for that. So it made me think of that. And then you're talking about the layers of the forms exhibition as people are layered. I would guess she's thinking about that, and you know, that you dig down deeper into who we really are.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It was very unique to see that they use very similar colors in both of their works, because of course the Kansas sunset, you see lots of oranges and pinks, and those two colors are the primary colors that Brittney uses in their prints. So it works out really, really well together. Yeah.
Sounds great. Well, Brittney, we want to talk to you as a reminder that things are in different places right now. Remind everybody where they can see what.
Yes, in case people have forgotten, we are undergoing renovation right now to our main facilities. So we have these temporary locations to get us through that transition period. So the beautiful exhibition that Chandler just talked about, the Fields and Forms, as well as the Smoky Hill exhibit coming up in April, those will all take place in our what we call the annex, the Hays Arts Council annex space. We do have both a Main Street and an 11th Street entrance there, and we are only open at that location Thursday and Friday from 10 to 4, and then on Saturday from 1 to 4. So hope people are mindful of those kind of reduced hours for the exhibition space. And that's really where we will do the majority of our events and programs and art walk kinds of exhibition openings and that kind of thing. And then we also have an office space and a gift gallery space, which is at the Hadley Center. So from the 7th Street entrance, we are right inside the door. You can see the beautiful artwork from the window, so it's very enticing. And this is where our staff are located Tuesday through Saturday. So Tuesday through Friday, open 10 to 4, and then on Saturdays from 10 to 1. So trying to give our staff a couple of days off, and so we'll be closed on Sundays and Mondays for the time being. We're also asking for people to just be patient with us. We've got 2 different spaces we're trying to manage, and we only have 2 paid employees. And so sometimes things happen. There's been a lot of germs going around. People might have appointments or get sick or have other things. And so it's important that people understand that we'll do the best we can to maintain those hours. But when we have to, we'll post on our Facebook page, on our website, and we'll put signage up on those doors. So just work with us to be in those temporary locations. And I know the staff and volunteers and board members spent a considerable amount of time in February getting both of those spaces ready, polished, looking good for people to come in and share artwork in several different forms. So come see us.
Absolutely. How is the renovation process, the fundraising process going for that?
Yes, our active fundraising period ended at the end of 2025, but as anybody who's ever done like a home renovation project or construction project anywhere else, there are going to be unforeseen expenses.
Always something you didn't count on.
Yes, and different timelines, and we want to make sure we pay our bills on time, and we're also going to have to think about furnishing our new space and doing signage to recognize all of our great donors, and there will be a lot of additional expenses that we need to think about. So we are still accepting donations for the renovation project. There's a few ways that people can do that. They can pay directly online through our website. We have a link to an account that we have with the Heartland Community Foundation, but they can also come and visit us and pay via in person with a credit card or even a check. They can mail it. So we are taking donations. We are taking those contributions and need all the help we can get to really get this project to the finish line.
And what is the finish line, the deadline?
So we expect the entirety of the renovation project to be roughly a year-long project. So we kicked off construction in February. At this phase, phase 1 demolition is finished. So that's really exciting. The space looks entirely different. It's unrecognizable right now. It's completely empty down to the bones. And they'll be getting ready to kind of start that next phase. We will be in this, what we're calling phase 1, probably through the fall while they're working on our main gallery. And then we'll have a second phase where they'll work on the annex, which is where we're working out of right now. We expect the project to be wrapping up in 2027 spring, early 2027. And then of course we'll need a little bit of time to get things ready and available for the public. So roughly a year plus some extra time that we can get ready to start welcoming people in the new space. So we're saying 2027 is when we can expect our renovation to be complete.